Disclaimer: this is a fictional dramatization created for artistic, emotional, and educational storytelling purposes. All characters and events are entirely fictional and created using AI tools. No impersonation, misrepresentation, or harm is intended. The content contains scenes of danger involving child characters. However, no real persons or minors were involved in its production. Grace's Love Stories produces scripted, AI-generated stories that promote entertain, inspire kindness, and emotional connection. We respect our viewers and strictly adhere to YouTube's policies.
The silence of this place is a living thing. It breathes in the gaps between the sighing pines and exhales in the mournful cry of a distant loon. I came here for the silence. I thought it would be a balm, a thick, cool poultice for the wound Dimitri had carved into my soul. He'd used words as his scalpel, precise and cruel. Broken, he'd called me. The doctor had used gentler terms. Unlikely, complications, barren. But they all meant the same thing, a dead end. A garden where nothing would ever grow. Dimitri, a man who built empires of commerce and connections, couldn't abide a faulty asset. A wife who couldn't produce an heir was a flaw in the design, a crack in the foundation of the dynasty he was so desperate to build. So he cut me out, surgically, with the kind of casual indifference one might use to discard a malfunctioning appliance. And I ran. I ran until the city smog was a bad taste in my memory, and the only sounds were the ones made by wind and water and wood. I found this cabin, a forgotten relic tucked into the deep green folds of the mountains, miles from any real town. It belonged to my grandfather, a place he said was for mending. I have been mending for 6 months. Or maybe I've just been pickling in my own sorrow, letting the quiet preserve my pain. Tonight, the silence is different. It's not peaceful. It's heavy, charged with a tension that makes the hairs on my arms stand on end. A storm is rolling in from the north, a great bruised belly of a cloud that has swallowed the moon and stars. The wind has teeth. It shrieks around the eaves of the cabin, rattling the window panes like a trapped animal. I press my forehead against the cool glass of the living room window, watching the trees thrash in the growing dark. A flicker of lightning illuminates the forest in a stark, skeletal flash, and that's when I see it. Not a flicker. Not a trick of the light. Something huge and dark is moving at the edge of the woods, stumbling through the undergrowth. My heart seizes, a cold fist in my chest. A bear? A moose? This is their territory, not mine. I am the intruder. I should turn off the lights. I should hide. That's what a sensible person would do. That's what Dimitri would have called strategic self-preservation. But I don't move. I am frozen, a moth mesmerized by a terrible, beautiful flame. The shape lurches forward, out of the tree line, and into the clearing that serves as my yard. Another flash of lightning, longer this time, and I see it clearly. It's a wolf, but it's like no wolf I have ever seen, in a documentary or a picture book. It is impossibly large, a creature of nightmare and legend. Its fur is the color of a starless midnight, matted with mud, and something darker that glistens wetly in the strobing light. It's hurt. It's badly. Its right foreleg drags uselessly, and its whole body lists to one side with every agonizing step. Fear, sharp and primal, floods my veins. I stumble back from the window, my breath catching in my throat. My hand flies to my mouth. This is it, the wild, untamable thing I ran to, come to claim its pound of flesh. It collapses, not 10 yards from my porch. The great beast gives a final, shuddering heave and goes down in a heap of black fur and exhaustion. The wind howls, tearing at its massive form, and a sudden, driving rain begins to fall, plastering its fur to its hide. It's dying. Right there, in my yard, And then I see the other thing, tucked against its belly, sheltered from the worst of the wind and rain, is a bundle, a small bundle, wrapped in what looks like animal pelts. As the wolf's body settles, the bundle stirs. A tiny hand, impossibly pale, emerges from the furs. A baby. My mind refuses to process it. A wolf. A baby. Here. The logic of the world I once knew shatters into a million pieces. The storm breaks in earnest now, a torrential downpour that seems intent on washing the world clean. The baby lets out a thin, wavering cry, a sound almost stolen by the wind. My feet are moving before my brain can object. My hand is on the doorknob. Don't be a fool, Serafina. It's a voice from my past, a chorus of voices. The doctor, Dmitri, the pitying looks of friends. You can't help. You aren't equipped. It's not your problem. They were the voices of indifference. The voices that watched me drown and called it swimming. The voices that left me alone when I was broken. I will not be them. The thought is a flare of heat in the cold terror of my heart. I will not be them. I wrench the door open, and the storm screams into my house, flinging rain and leaves across the floor. I don't care. My eyes are fixed on that tiny, stirring hand. The wolf's head lifts, just an inch. Two eyes, the color of molten gold, fix on me. They are not the mindless eyes of a beast. They are ancient and intelligent, and filled with a desperate, silent plea. He's not asking for himself. He's asking for the child. Okay, I whisper, the words snatched away by the gale. Okay, I'm coming. Fear is a physical thing. It's a tremor in my hands, a sickness in my gut. But compassion is a fire, and right now it burns hotter. I grab the thick wool blanket from the back of the sofa and plunge out into the deluge. The cold is a shock, stealing my breath. The rain is like icy needles against my skin. I reach the wolf in a few clumsy, slipping steps. He's even bigger up close, a mountain of an animal. The smell of wet fur, blood, and damp earth fills my senses. His golden eyes follow my every move, wary but unthreatening. There's a low, pained rumble in his chest, a sound of profound suffering. My priority is the baby. I kneel in the mud, my jeans instantly soaked through. Gently, so gently, I reach for the bundle. The wolf doesn't move. He allows it. It's an act of trust, so profound, it makes my heart ache. The furs are surprisingly dry on the inside. I peel them back to reveal a small, sleeping face, round and pale, a boy, maybe a few months old. He's cold, but he's breathing steadily. A miracle. I wrap him tightly in the dry wool blanket, tucking it around his head. He stirs, making a soft, snuffling noise. My empty arms, the ones that have ached with a phantom weight for years, suddenly feel right. They feel full, now for the wolf. I can't leave you out here. I say, my voice trembling, you'll die. His eyes close for a moment, a gesture of weary surrender. Getting him inside is an ordeal. He's impossibly heavy, a dead weight of muscle and bone. I try to drag him by his uninjured shoulder, my feet sliding in the mud. He helps, a little, a weak push with his hind legs. A grunt of effort. Together, inch by painful inch, we make it onto the covered porch, and then, finally, across the threshold and into the warm, dry light of my cabin. He collapses onto the braided rug in front of the hearth, leaving a trail of mud and blood on my clean floors. I don't even notice. I kick the door shut, and the roar of the storm is muffled to a dull rumble. Silence descends, broken only by the crackle of the fire I'd built earlier, the soft breathing of the baby in my arms, and the ragged, shallow breaths of the giant wolf. I stand in the middle of my small, safe world, a world that has just been irrevocably breached. I am holding a stranger's child, and a monster from a fairy tale is bleeding on my floor. My old life, the one of sterile apartments and calculated cruelties, feels a universe away. I look down at the baby, his tiny rosebud mouth parted in sleep. Then I look at the wolf, his magnificent form laid low by injury. His golden eyes are open, watching me. There's gratitude in them, and pain. So much pain. Okay, I whisper again, to all of us. First things first. I settle the baby into a nest of pillows on the sofa, far from the door and close to the fire. He doesn't wake. Then, I turn my attention to my other guest. I fetch my grandfather's old first aid kit, the one stocked for hunting accidents and mishaps in the woods. It's filled with antiseptic wipes, gauze, and strong-smelling salves. Kneeling beside the wolf is terrifying. His sheer size is overwhelming. His head alone is bigger than my torso. But his stillness is what gives me courage. He lies there, utterly vulnerable, trusting me. I have to clean this, I murmur, more to myself than to him. It's going to hurt. His ear twitches, a sign that he hears and understands. The wound is a deep, vicious gash along his right flank, just below the ribs. It's jagged and ugly, clearly not from another animal. It looks like it was made by something metal, a trap. My stomach turns. Someone did this to him. Someone hunted this incredible creature. I take a deep breath and begin to work. I clean the wound as gently as I can with warm water and a cloth. He flinches when I touch the raw edges, a whine catching in his throat, but he doesn't snap. He doesn't even growl. He just endures it, his breathing harsh and strained. I douse the area in antiseptic. He lets out a sharp yelp this time, his muscles bunching under my hands. I know, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, I soothe, my voice thick with pity. I pack the wound with gauze and wrap his torso with the cleanest strips of cloth I can find, tearing up an old bedsheet. It's a clumsy, amateurish job, but it's the best I can do. When I'm finished, my hands are shaking, and I'm slick with a mixture of rain, mud, and the wolf's blood. He licks my hand, just once. A quick, rough rasp of his tongue against my blood-stained knuckles. It's not a kiss. It's a thank you. It's an acknowledgement. Tears prick my eyes. I sink back on my heels, utterly exhausted. The adrenaline that has been coursing through me drains away, leaving a bone-deep weariness in its place. The baby starts to fuss from the couch. A hungry cry. Of course. My life, once a quiet, empty expanse of time, is now a series of urgent, pressing needs. A wounded wolf, a hungry infant. I look around my kitchen. I have canned soup, bread, coffee, nothing for a baby. Panic, cold and sharp, begins to rise again. What was I thinking? I can't do this. I'm not a mother. I'm the woman who can't be a mother. The wolf whines softly from the floor. He lifts his head and nudges something with his nose. Something that was tucked into the furs with the baby. Something I missed in my rush. It's a leather satchel. I crawl over and retrieve it. Inside, wrapped in oilcloth, is a small block of what looks like hard cheese and a water skin. I open the water skin. It's not water. It's milk. Goat's milk? Maybe? It's still cool. I stare at the wolf, dumbfounded. He had supplies. He came prepared. This wasn't an accident. He was seeking refuge. He was seeking me. But why? How? The questions are too big, too strange. I push them aside. For now, I have a problem I can solve. I find the baby bottle I bought once, in a fit of desperate, foolish hope, and then hid in the back of a cupboard like a shameful secret. I wash it, fill it with the milk, and warm it carefully by the fire. The baby drinks greedily, his tiny hands clutching at the bottle, his blue eyes staring up at me with an unnerving intensity. They are not the soft, unfocused eyes of a typical infant. They are bright and aware, and they are the exact same shade of molten gold as the wolf's. My blood runs cold. No, it's not possible. It's a coincidence. The light, my tired mind playing tricks on me. But as I look from the baby in my arms to the great beast by the fire, a terrifying, impossible thought begins to take root in my mind. A thought so wild it belongs in the very fairy tales I dismissed moments ago. I am not just sheltering a wolf and a baby. I am sheltering a father and his son. The days that follow fall into a strange, new rhythm. My world shrinks to the four walls of this cabin, but inside it, life is fuller and more demanding than it has ever been. I am a nurse, a mother, a protector. I name the baby Orion. It means rising, and it seems to suit his pale hair and serious little face. I name the wolf. Well, I don't. I just call him you. Do you need more water? I'll ask, and his tail will give a single weak thump against the floorboards. Is Orion warm enough? I'll murmur, and his golden eyes will flick from the baby to the fire, then back to me. A clear and concise answer. He heals at a rate that defies biology. Within 2 days, he is able to stand, albeit shakily. The gash on his side, which should have become infected, or at least taken weeks to close, is already knitting itself together, the raw red fading to a healthy pink. By the 4th day, he is walking, a slight limp the only sign of his near-fatal injury. It's unnatural, it's impossible, and it confirms the wild suspicion that took root that first night. These are not ordinary beings. The silence of my cabin is no longer empty. It's filled with the small sounds of life. Orion's coos and gurgles, the wolf's heavy sighs, the soft pat of his paws on the wood floor as he follows me from room to room, a huge, silent shadow. He never crowds me, but he is always there. When I'm changing Orion, he lies a few feet away, watching with an unnerving focus. When I'm cooking, he rests his great head on his paws by the kitchen doorway. When I sleep, he lies across the threshold of my bedroom door, a sentinel. At first, his constant presence is unnerving. I feel watched, judged, but slowly, so slowly, the feeling changes. It's not judgment in his gaze. It's guardianship. It's a quiet, powerful promise of safety. I find myself talking to him. The loneliness I've carried for so long begins to leak out of me in a steady stream of words. I talk to him while I wash the dishes, while I fold the makeshift diapers I made from old t-shirts. Dmitri always hated this kind of quiet. I tell the wolf one afternoon, watching the snow fall outside. He said it was unproductive. Every moment had to be filled with noise, with business, with progress. The wolf just listens, his head cocked to one side. He told me I was broken. I whisper, the confession sticking in my throat. Because my body wouldn't do the one thing it was supposed to do. He made me feel like a failure, not just as a wife, but as a woman. A low rumble vibrates through the floor from the wolf's chest. It's not a growl of aggression. It sounds like anger. Anger on my behalf. I reach out, my hand hesitating in the air for a moment, before I finally rest it on his head, between his ears. His fur is thick and surprisingly soft. He leans into my touch, a barely perceptible movement, and a strange warmth spreads through my chest, a feeling I haven't felt in years. Connection. Orion. is a surprisingly easy baby. He rarely cries unless he's hungry or cold. Mostly, he just watches the world with those unnervingly intelligent golden eyes. He likes it when I sing to him, old lullabies my grandmother used to sing to me. Sometimes, when I sing, the wolf will lie beside us and close his eyes, a look of profound peace on his lupine face. We are a strange, impossible family. A broken woman, a magical wolf, and a golden-eyed baby. 1 week after their arrival, the food in the satchel runs out. My own supplies are dwindling. The snow has been falling steadily for 2 days, and the path down the mountain will be impassable. A familiar knot of panic tightens in my stomach. I don't know what we're going to do. I say to the wolf that night, my voice tight with worry. We're trapped here. He gets to his feet, walks to the door, and nudges it with his nose, looking back at me. No, I say immediately. Absolutely not. You're not fully healed, and there's a blizzard out there. And who knows what else. I think of the trap, of the people who set it. He gives a soft huff of air, a sound of mild exasperation, and nudges the door again, more forcefully this time. His golden eyes are insistent. He is not asking. He is telling me he is going. He is going to hunt for us. A war rages inside me. The logical part of my brain screams that this is madness. But the part of me that has come to trust this creature, to rely on his silent strength, knows that he is capable. He is a provider, a protector. Be careful, I whisper, my hand on his head. Please, be careful. He licks my wrist, a silent promise, and then I open the door. He slips out into the swirling white, a dark shape swallowed by the storm in an instant. The cabin feels cavernous without him. The silence is once again the empty, lonely thing it used to be. I hold Orion a little tighter, my own fear a cold weight in my belly. What if he doesn't come back? What if the hunters find him? Hours pass. I pace the floor. I feed Orion the last of the milk. I watch the snow pile up against the windows. The fear grows, a choking vine around my heart. I must have dozed off on the sofa, with Orion asleep on my chest, because I'm woken by a scratching sound at the door. My heart leaps into my throat. I rush to the door and pull it open. He's there, covered in a thick mantle of snow, looking more like a spirit of the winter than a living animal. At his feet lies a large deer. Relief washes over me so powerfully my knees go weak. You came back! I breathe, tears freezing on my cheeks. He nudges my hand with his cold nose, then looks pointedly at the deer. He provided. He kept his promise. The next morning, I discover the full extent of his impossible nature. I go to check his wound, the one I've been tending so diligently. It's gone, not healing. Not scarred over, gone. The skin of his flank is smooth and whole, covered in a seamless coat of thick, black fur. There isn't even a hint of a scar. I run my hand over the spot, my fingers trembling. Nothing. It's as if the injury never happened. I stare at him, my mind reeling. He just looks back at me, his golden eyes calm and steady, as if to say, yes. Now you see, this is beyond magic. This is something else entirely. Something ancient and powerful and utterly beyond my comprehension, and it is living in my house. And I have never, ever felt safer. 2 weeks to the day after their arrival, the world I fled comes to find me. The snow has stopped, and a weak winter sun is trying to burn through the clouds. I'm sitting on the floor, playing a nonsensical game with Orion, tickling his belly and making him giggle, a sound that is like music in the quiet cabin. The wolf is dozing by the fire, the picture of domestic peace. Then I hear it, the low, angry growl of an engine, chewing its way up the mountain road. It's a sound that doesn't belong here. It's a violation. The wolf is on his feet in an instant, a low rumble starting deep in his chest. His body is tense, coiled like a spring. His eyes are fixed on the door, the soft gold hardening into something fierce and dangerous. I scoop Orion into my arms, my heart hammering against my ribs. Who could it be? No one knows I'm here. No one except... No, it can't be. A sleek, black SUV, its tires churning through the snow, pulls into the clearing. My blood turns to ice. I know that car. The driver's side door opens, and Dmitri gets out. He looks grotesquely out of place, in his expensive cashmere coat and polished leather shoes. He surveys my rustic cabin with a look of undisguised contempt. "Serafina!" he calls out, his voice sharp and impatient. "I know you're in there!" Took my private investigator a hell of a time to find this hovel. Stop playing games and come out. The wolf's growl deepens, a terrifying guttural sound that vibrates through the floor. He moves to stand in front of me and Orion, a living shield of black fur and barely restrained fury. "Shh!" I whisper, my hand on his back. His muscles are like stone beneath my touch. "It's okay. Stay here." I don't know why I say it. Nothing is okay. The past and the present are about to collide on my doorstep, and I have a feeling it will be violent. Taking a shaky breath, I open the door a crack. "What do you want, Dmitri?" His face breaks into a relieved, proprietary smile. "There you are. I was worried. Running off like that. It was dramatic, even for you. Pack your things." "We're going home." Home. He says it as if it's a place of comfort, not the gilded cage he kept me in. This is my home now. I say, my voice stronger than I expect. He scoffs, a sound of pure condescension. "Don't be ridiculous. This is a shack in the middle of nowhere. You're coming back to the city. Back to your life." "My life?" I laugh, a bitter, humorless sound. "What life? Dmitri? The one where I host your dinner parties and smile blankly while your associates talk about mergers? The one where you look at me with pity because I'm broken?" His smile falters. His eyes narrow. "I was upset. I said things I didn't mean. Now stop this foolishness. You've had your little wilderness retreat. It's over." He takes a step towards the porch. The wolf's growl escalates into a full-throated snarl. He pushes the door open with his head and steps out onto the porch, planting himself firmly in front of me. The sheer size and ferocity of him makes Dmitri stop dead in his tracks. "What the hell is that?" Dmitri sputters, his face paling. "Is that a wolf? Jesus! Serafina, have you lost your mind? Get that thing away from me." "He's not a thing," I say, my hand resting on the wolf's back. I can feel the power thrumming through him, the desperate urge to rip this intruder to pieces. And he's not going anywhere. Dmitri's fear is quickly being replaced by anger, his default emotion. "I'm not playing, Serafina. I'll call the authorities. I'll have that beast put down. You won't touch him." I say, my voice dropping to a low, cold tone I didn't know I possessed. "We'll see about that," Dmitri sneers, reaching for his phone. "You've made your choice." As his fingers touch the screen, the wolf moves. It's not an attack. It's a warning. He lunges forward, not at Dmitri, but at the front tire of the SUV. His jaws, powerful enough to crush bone, clamp down on the rubber. There's a loud, explosive bang as the tire ruptures. Air hisses out violently. Dmitri yelps and stumbles back, falling into a snowdrift. His phone flies from his hand and disappears into the white. "You're insane!" he screams, scrambling away from the wolf. "You're both insane!" The wolf stands over the ruined tire, his chest heaving, his lips curled back to reveal a terrifying arsenal of teeth. He doesn't advance. He just holds his ground. A clear message. You are not welcome here. You will not harm them. Dmitri gets to his feet, his expensive coat ruined, his face a mask of fury and fear. Fine. Stay here and rot with your pet monster. But don't come crawling back to me when you realize what a mistake you've made. He tries to open his car door, then seems to remember the flat tire. With a curse, he slams it shut. This isn't over, Serafina. He spits, and then he starts trudging back down the mountain road on foot, a pathetic, diminished figure against the vast white landscape. The moment he is out of sight, the strength seems to drain out of the wolf. He gives a great, shuddering sigh and sags, his body trembling. He turns back to me, his golden eyes soft with relief. And then he collapses. He falls to the porch with a heavy thud, a low whine of pain escaping his throat. No, I whisper, rushing to his side. No, no, no. I see it then. His wound, the one that had vanished. It's back. A deep, red gash, weeping blood onto the snow-dusted wood of the porch. It's as if the stress, the fury, the effort of protecting us has ripped it open again from the inside out. His breathing is shallow. Orion, still in my arms, begins to cry, sensing the shift in atmosphere. No, you don't, I say fiercely, tears streaming down my face. You don't get to save us and then leave us. I won't let you. I lay Orion gently in his makeshift crib inside, then run back out. I can't move the wolf this time. He's too heavy, and I'm too weak with panic. So I do the only thing I can think of. I grab every blanket in the house and cover him, trying to ward off the biting cold. I sit beside him, my hand on his head, whispering nonsensical things. Please. Promises. Prayers. To a God I haven't spoken to in years. Stay with me. Please. Just stay with me. You're safe now. He's gone. You're safe. I press my body against his, trying to share my own warmth, trying to shield him from the wind. I am protecting my protector. It's a role reversal, so profound it feels like a tectonic shift in my own soul. My perceived weakness, my bleeding heart, is all I have to offer, and I offer it completely. His ragged breathing slows. His golden eyes, clouded with pain, meet mine. He gives a weak lick to my cheek, a gesture of farewell. No, I sob, clutching his fur. Don't you dare. And then the world goes mad. A light begins to emanate from him, not a reflection but a source. It pulses from beneath his skin, a soft golden glow that matches the color of his eyes. The air around us crackles with a strange energy, making the snow dance and my hair stand on end. The wolf's form begins to shimmer, to lose its definition. The black fur seems to melt away, the powerful lupine muscles shifting, contracting, reforming. The snout shortens, the ears recede, limbs elongate. The entire structure of his body is changing before my eyes, twisting into something new, something impossible. I scramble back, my mind refusing to accept what my senses are screaming at me. It's a hallucination. I've finally broken, but it's real. Where the giant wolf lay bleeding on my porch, there is now a man. He's naked, his body long and leanly muscled, crisscrossed with old, silvery scars that tell a story of 100 battles. The vicious gash on his side is still there, red and raw against his pale skin. His hair is as black as his wolf's fur had been, long and tangled, fanning out around his head on the wooden planks. He is unconscious. His face, even in repose, is beautiful in a harsh, wild way. High cheekbones, a strong jaw dusted with black stubble, a mouth that looks like it was made for snarling and for kissing in equal measure. I am paralyzed. My heart is a frantic bird beating against the cage of my ribs. I can't breathe. I can't think. The man on my porch is the wolf. The wolf is the man, and the baby inside. with his golden eyes, the pieces of the puzzle, so strange and disparate, slammed together in my mind with the force of a physical blow. Shifter, a father, son. I stumble to my feet and back away until my back hits the cold log wall of the cabin. I slide down it, landing in a heap on the porch. I stare at the unconscious man, at his vulnerable human form, and a single, hysterical laugh bubbles up out of my throat. Dmitri called me broken. He had no idea. I've just invited a legend into my life, a myth, and he bled for me. The cold finally snaps me out of my stupor. He'll die out here, human or wolf. He is still wounded and exposed. My training, my instinct to care, to mend, overrides the shock. Getting him inside is even harder than it was the first time. His human form is all gangly limbs and dead weight. I half drag, half carry him, my muscles screaming in protest. I manage to get him onto the rug where his other self had lain, in front of the fire. I cover him with the same blankets. I look at his face, really look at it, and a jolt of recognition, a familiarity, goes through me. It's in the line of his brow, the set of his jaw. I have seen this face before, in the intelligent eyes and noble bearing of the wolf. I tend to his wound again, my hands shaking so badly. I can barely hold the cloth. It feels different now, more intimate, more transgressive. I am touching the bare skin of a stranger, a man, but he's not a stranger. I know the rhythm of his breathing, the feel of his fur, the sound of his pain. After I've cleaned and bandaged the gash as best I can, I sit on the floor, pulling a blanket around my own trembling shoulders, and I just watch him. I watch him and the sleeping baby, and I wait. I wait for the world to make sense again, knowing that it never will. He wakes hours later. As dusk bleeds purple and gray across the snow-covered windows, it's not a slow, groggy awakening. One moment he is unconscious. The next, his eyes are open, and they are fixed on me. Those same golden eyes, now set in a human face. They are filled with an agony of regret. His voice, when he speaks, is a low, rough baritone, raspy from disuse. I'm sorry. Just 2 words. But they are weighted with a universe of pain. I can't find my own voice. I just shake my head, a small, jerky movement. He tries to sit up, hissing in pain, as the movement pulls at the wound in his side. He clutches it, his face tight. You shouldn't move. I finally manage to say, my voice a dry whisper. I have to, he says, his jaw clenched. I've brought you nothing but danger. You brought me Orion, I say softly, nodding towards the sleeping baby. You brought yourself. You were hurt. He looks at his son, and his harsh expression softens with a love so fierce and pure it steals my breath. Then he looks back at me, and the shame returns. You don't understand, he says. My name is Lysander. The men who did this to me, they hunt my kind. They killed his mother, my mate. The words are torn from him, raw and bleeding. I was running, trying to find somewhere safe for him. I felt something, a light, a place of warmth and quiet pain that called to me. I didn't know it was a person. I didn't mean to involve you. A place of warmth and quiet pain. He felt me. He was drawn to my sorrow, my loneliness. The thought is both terrifying and strangely beautiful. You're a shifter, I state, the word feeling clumsy and inadequate on my tongue. He nods, his gaze falling to the floor. An alpha, they call it. What's left of my pack is scattered. I am their leader, and I led them into ruin. Now I am just this, a man in chains of my own making, of my own failure. I remember the title of a book I read once, a sneering, dismissive phrase, rejected Omega. That was me. And here, Before me was an alpha in chains, a king without a kingdom, brought low by grief and violence. You protected us, I say, from Dmitri. You were magnificent. A dark, bitter laugh escapes him. And look where it got me. Exposed. Weak. Putting you in even more danger. He'll be back, Serafina. With men. With guns. Then we'll be gone before he gets here, I say, surprising myself with my own decisiveness. As soon as you're strong enough to travel. He looks at me. Really looks at me. For the first time without the shield of shame. There is surprise in his eyes. And something else. Something deeper. A flicker of wonder. You would do that? He asks, his voice soft with disbelief. After everything? After seeing what I am? What are you, Lysander? I ask, my voice steady. A monster? I don't think so. I saw a father, desperate to save his child. I saw a protector, willing to die for a stranger who showed him a small kindness. What I see is a man who needs help. And I told you, I say, my voice dropping, I will not be like the ones who turn away. A single tear tracks its way through the stubble on his cheek. He doesn't wipe it away. He just holds my gaze, and in the depths of his golden eyes, I see the shattered pieces of a noble heart. He called you broken, Lysander says, his voice barely a whisper. I heard you tell me when I was the other. He is the fool. You are the strongest person I have ever met. And in the warm, firelit quiet of the cabin, with a storm of uncertainty raging outside, his words begin to heal, a wound I thought would be fatal. The next few days are a delicate, strange dance of healing and unspoken tension. Lysander, true to his nature, recovers with an impossible speed. The gash that should have laid him low for weeks is a puckered, angry scar by the third day. His strength returns, a tide of raw vitality that seems to fill the small cabin. But with his physical healing comes an emotional retreat. He becomes quiet, withdrawn. He's polite, grateful for the food I prepare and the fresh bandages. But he builds a wall around himself, brick by careful brick. He keeps his distance, sleeping on the rug by the fire, never approaching me unless necessary. He spends hours watching Orion, his love for his son, a tangible thing. But when I enter the room, a shadow passes over his face, and he pulls away. He's trying to push me away. He's trying to make it easier for me when he leaves, because he is planning to leave. I can see it in the way he looks at the door, the way his jaw tightens when he thinks I'm not watching. He believes he is a danger to me, a curse, and he intends to excise himself from my life. The thought sends a shard of ice through my heart. The quiet, empty life I had before seems like a barren, colorless wasteland compared to the vibrant, terrifying, beautiful world that has opened up to me. I don't want to go back. One evening, I've had enough. Orion is asleep in his makeshift crib. Lysander is staring into the fire, his shoulders slumped, the weight of the world on them. The silence between us is no longer companionable. It's a chasm. You're going to leave, aren't you? I say, my voice cutting through the quiet. He flinches but doesn't turn to look at me. It's for the best. For the best for who, Lysander? I demand, getting to my feet and walking over to stand behind him. For you? Or for me? Because you don't get to make that decision for me. Serafina, he says, his voice strained. You deserve a normal life, a safe one, not this, running, hiding. I can't give you anything but fear. You think I wasn't afraid before? I say, my own voice rising. I was terrified. I was terrified of the silence, of the emptiness. I was terrified of waking up every morning and remembering that I was alone, that I was discarded. You talk about safety? I have never felt safer in my entire life. than when your giant furry body was asleep across my doorway. He finally turns to look at me, his golden eyes turbulent with a storm of emotions. Pain, longing, guilt. I am not that wolf. I am a man who has failed everyone he ever cared about. I will not fail you too. The only way you can fail me, I say, my voice softening, my resolve hardening, is by leaving. You felt it, didn't you? That first night, you called it a light, a connection. It wasn't just your pain, or mine. It was both of us. I felt it too. I feel it now. I take a step closer, my heart pounding. I spent my whole life feeling like a puzzle with a missing piece, and then you fell on my doorstep, and for the first time, things started to make sense. Don't take that away from me. I am a monster, he whispers, the words full of self-loathing. No, I whisper back, closing the space between us until I'm kneeling in front of him. I reach out and gently touch his face, my thumb stroking the rough stubble on his jaw. You are a king without a crown, a father without a home, and you are not alone anymore, unless you choose to be. At that moment, a soft whimper comes from the crib. Orion. He's stirring, his little fists waving in the air. He isn't crying, just making small, restless sounds. Lysander's eyes, and mine, are drawn to him. Without thinking, we both move towards him. I reach into the crib and lift him into my arms. He settles immediately, his head burrowing into my neck. Lysander stands beside me, his hand hovering, wanting to touch his son but holding back. Orion, as if sensing the chasm between us, turns his head. He looks at his father, and then he reaches out a tiny, chubby hand. Not for me, for Lysander. Lysander's breath hitches. Slowly, reverently, he reaches out and lets Orion's tiny fingers curl around his large, calloused one. A perfect, simple connection, father and son. And then Orion does something else. He keeps his grip on his father's finger, but he reaches his other hand out, patting my cheek. He looks between us, a solemn, wise expression in his golden eyes. He holds us both, a fragile, unbreakable link. The dam inside Lysander breaks. A raw, shuddering sob escapes him. He sinks to his knees before me, his head bowed, his hand still holding his son's. I waited for you my whole life, he chokes out, the confession wrenched from the deepest part of his soul. Every shifter has one, a mate, a true mate, the other half of their soul, mine. I thought she was my mate. I loved her, but the bond, it was never this. It was never a fire in my blood that called to me across miles of wilderness. When she died, I thought my heart had turned to stone, but then I found you, your light, and I knew. I knew I had been wrong about everything. My own tears are falling freely now, splashing onto Orion's soft hair. I thought my heart was a barren field, I whisper. Nothing could grow there. And then you and Orion fell from the sky, and there are flowers. Everywhere. He looks up at me, his golden eyes shining with tears and a fierce, desperate hope. Seraphina. He says my name like a prayer. He leans in, and I meet him halfway. His lips are soft, hesitant at first, a question, and then, as I kiss him back, as I pour all my loneliness and fear and newfound hope into it, the kiss deepens. It's a kiss of desperation and relief, of homecoming and discovery. It is the sealing of a bond, forged in a storm and tempered in firelight. It is not a cure. It is not a magic fix, but it is a beginning. It's the promise that two broken halves, a rejected omega and a fallen alpha, can make a whole. And as I hold Orion, and Lysander holds me, the fire crackles. and the cabin is filled with a new kind of silence. Not of emptiness, but of a peace so profound it feels like grace. 6 months later, the world is green again. The sun streams through the canopy of a forest, so ancient and vast, it feels like the lungs of the world. The air is sweet, with the scent of damp earth, moss, and wildflowers. Birdsong is a constant, joyful symphony. We are not at my cabin. We are home. Lysander's home. It's not a place on any map. It's a hidden valley, protected by mountains and old magic, where the remnants of his pack have been gathering, drawn back by the call of their alpha, newly whole. It's a small, thriving village of sturdy log homes, a community built on resilience and loyalty. They did not greet me as an outsider, a fragile human. They greeted me as the one who saved their alpha. They call me healer, heart keeper. They look at me with a respect that has nothing to do with status or lineage, and everything to do with the choice I made on a stormy night. Lysander stands beside me, his arm wrapped securely around my waist. He is no longer the haunted, grieving man I found on my porch. He is a leader. The quiet authority is back in his posture, the confidence in his gaze, but the harshness is gone, replaced by a deep, steady warmth. He smiles more. He laughs. Especially when he is with Orion. Orion, who is now crawling with astonishing speed, is chasing a butterfly across a patch of sun-dappled clover. He is a happy, healthy baby, surrounded by a pack that adores him, the cherished son of the Alpha. Today is a ceremony, not a wedding, not in the human sense. It's an acknowledgement, a formal welcoming of me into the pack, a recognition of our bond in front of everyone. It's simple, no fancy clothes, no rigid vows, just us, standing before our people, our hands clasped. The pack elder, a woman with eyes that have seen a century of seasons, smiles at us. "What was broken is mended," she says, her voice like the rustling of dry leaves. "What was lost is found. 2 souls, 1 path. Welcome home, Seraphina." A cheer goes up from the small crowd, a sound of pure, uncomplicated joy. Lysander turns to me, his golden eyes glowing with a love so powerful it makes my knees weak. He leans down and kisses me, slow and deep, a public declaration that needs no words. Later, as the sun begins to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and rose, a scout returns with news. A man in a black suv has been seen at the base of the old mountain road, near my abandoned cabin. He was asking questions in the nearest town. Looking for me, Dimitri. A year ago, that news would have sent me into a spiral of fear. Now, I just feel a distant, hollow pity for him. "What do you want to do?" Lysander asks, his hand tightening on mine. He is ready to fight, ready to kill to protect us. I shake my head. Nothing. He looks at me, surprised. "Let him look," I say, my voice calm. "Let him search for the broken, lonely woman he threw away. He will never find her. She doesn't exist anymore." He searches my face, sees the quiet strength there, the absolute certainty. He nods, the tension leaving his shoulders. He trusts my judgment. He trusts me. I think of Dimitri, alone in his sterile, perfect world, chasing after a ghost. A part of me wants him to see me now, to see me here, loved and cherished, not as an asset, but as the other half of a fierce and noble heart, to see me holding Orion's hand as he takes his first wobbly steps, to see that the woman he called barren is now the mother of a future alpha, the mate of a king. But that desire is fleeting. His opinion no longer matters. He is a relic of a life that no longer belongs to me. His judgment cannot touch me here. That night, I stand on the porch of our new home, a home built by Lysander's own hands. Orion is asleep inside, safe and sound. Lysander comes up behind me, wrapping his strong arms around me, pulling my back against his chest. We stand in comfortable silence, watching the stars appear in the darkening sky. "Do you ever miss it?" he asks softly, his chin resting on my head. "The other world?" I think of the noise, the ambition, the coldness. I think of the pitying stares and the crushing weight of failure. "No," I say, leaning back into his embrace. "I was the one who was astray. I was the one who was lost. You didn't just stumble onto my porch, Lysander. You led me home." He holds me tighter, his heart beating a steady, reassuring rhythm against my back. I used to believe my greatest weakness was my heart, too soft, too empathetic, too easily broken. I thought my infertility was a curse, a sign that I was flawed, but I was wrong. My empathy wasn't a weakness, it was a beacon. It was the light in the darkness that called to him. My empty arms weren't a curse, they were waiting to be filled. My brokenness wasn't an ending. It was a doorway, and I had been brave enough, or perhaps just desperate enough, to walk through it, into a storm, and into the arms of my fated truth.